And welcome back to Sports the NEMO Way, the Green Bay Packers episode. So everybody lock in for your Mount Rushmore of the Green Bay Packers. It ought to be a doozy. A lot of hate flowing from a particular person in this room.
There's a lot of hate. Always will be.
Is it really hate, Drew, or is it just jealousy?
I'm not jealous of Packer. I don't want to be a Packer.
Or is it a majority ownership?
No, we're not having this discussion. He doesn't own crap.
All right. Well, I'll try not to pick on you too much in this episode, Drew. So I will now kick to Wade. Wade,
Yep.
Who's your number 4 Packer Mount Rushmore?
Well, I went back and forth with a lot of guys on this 4 spot. 4 spot was very tricky. And I will say before I say the player, we decided not to do coaches, but this would probably, I would say, be the first franchise where I would incorporate a coach on Mount Rushmore if we.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
If we were incorporating coaches, Vince Lombardi would probably have to be on the Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, we are not doing that. But if you're at least give him a shout out to Vince Lombardi. I went back and forth on a lot of older guys through those like Lombardi teams, and I couldn't quite come down to one I wanted to pick. So I picked my favorite Packer of all time, which is Charles Woodson. And I put him at 4.
All right. Charles Woodson.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even look up Charles Woodson when we did this list. Maybe I should have.
It's tricky. He plays longer with Oakland than he did with Green Bay, but all of his greatest seasons come with Green Bay.
I mean, he's definitely an all-time great DB. I mean, I have no questions. I just
all kinds of stats.
So but honestly, I didn't even research. So I mean, I guess that's on me.
Well, he did. Obviously, he was really good with Oakland the first part of his career, but then he goes to Green Bay, and they kind of just fully unleashed him, and he did all kinds of versatile stuff. He is tied for 5th all-time in interceptions with 65. Out of everyone that has over 60 interceptions for their career, he's the only one that's ever recorded 1,000 tackles with it. Now, there is a trick to that because a couple of them we don't have their tackle totals, like Paul Krause and Night Train Lane, so we actually don't know. But the ones that we do have recorded have never achieved that. He's the only person in NFL history to have over 60 interceptions and 20 sacks. He's the only defensive back, I believe, ever to ever have 20 sacks and over 30 forced fumbles to go with over 50 interceptions, which he actually had 65 interceptions. So you can make a pretty good argument there. He's maybe the most versatile defensive back ever. And he's, I believe, tied for 2nd in interceptions returned for touchdowns with, I think he has 11.
It's 11, yes.
11. I think only Rod Woodson beats him in that, but he also returned multiple fumbles for touchdowns, so I think his overall defensive total touchdowns is 13, which is tied for the most with Rod Woodson, I believe. So, yeah, pretty unbelievable guy. He won Defensive Player of the Year with the Packers, 9 Pro Bowls, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame All-2000 team. Is Pro Football Reference the one that only shows you the first team All-Pros?
Yeah.
Well, he has at least 3 first-team All-Pros. And he was one. I know he's not on the Lombardi teams, but when I was growing up, outside of whoever was playing quarterback, he was my favorite Packer. So he is one of the first Packers I think of. I'm sure certain other generations probably don't think that same way. But his stats with the Packers were unreal, and he was their best defensive player for a good stretch, and was one of the main reasons Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl ring.
Well, he is. I don't know if you said this way, but he's on the All 2000s team. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Like I said earlier, I think Charles Woodson's is one of the greatest DBs of all time. He would make that list easy for me. When it comes to my mind, I think Raiders when I think Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson.
I was thinking for the Packers, 'cause that's when he was the biggest badass. With, like, for an example, like he played 11 years in Oakland, 7 in Green Bay. Even though he played 4 more years in Oakland, he still has. I just lost it. I'm sorry. He still has 11 more interceptions for the Packers than he does the Raiders. He still has 11 and a half of his 20 sacks came with the Packers. his forced fumbles, he's still got 15 of his 33 with the Packers. Obviously, he has more tackles with Oakland. But, I mean, that kind of proves how dominant he was with the Packers. And you have 38 of your 65 career interceptions in a 7-year span, 11 more than your 11 years in Oakland, I think. I mean, I know it's just interceptions. It's not everything. But his interceptions while just in Green Bay is 8, 4, 7, 9, 2, 7, and then a season where he got hurt, so he had 1. But yeah, he was all over the place. They used him everywhere. He blitzed. He was their number 1 cover corner. He could go in the box and tackle. I mean, we're talking about a cornerback that had over 1,200 tackles to go with 65 interceptions, 20 sacks, over 30 forced fumbles, and 18 fumble recoveries. And he returned a lot of those for touchdowns. Also one of the great leaders all time in that.
Well, I'll say this. I looked up his return numbers because I remember Charles Woodson being a dynamic returner when I was a kid. And he never returned a kick or a punt for a touchdown, even though he did return both. He never returned one for a touchdown. That surprised me.
Well, wasn't that one of his big things in Michigan?
In Michigan, he returned a bunch of touchdowns, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's why he won his Heisman.
Well, he was at least one of the greatest at returning interceptions and fumbles for touchdowns. I mean, obviously being in the top 1 or 2 all time and all that. And when I was growing up, he was my favorite Packer. I mean, I wasn't obviously a huge Packer fan, but I really liked Charles Woodson. I really liked him and Ed Reed growing up, and I always thought of him as a Packer, and that's where he was the most badass, so that's where I put him.
I'm surprised you like Charles Woodson so much since he robbed Peyton of his Heisman.
Oh, he should have robbed Tom Brady of his first Super Bowl with the damn tuck rule. He's the one that hit him for the tuck. Tom Brady for the tuck rule.
I'll give Brady credit that he said it during that video. Where
what video?
That
TV show he did, where
talking about.
he was he's always on his couch and he's talking about stuff, and he had Charles Woodson on for an episode, and Brady admitted it.
That was a fumble.
Yeah, might have been a fumble.
And the Raiders were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
one more fucking jeans game. I don't know. Keep tacking around. But yeah, anyway, I'll save all that for the Patriots episode.
That'll be a great episode.
I love Charles Woodson. I wanted to at least try to get him on a Mount Rushmore. And the 4th spot with the Packers is hard.
It is. It's very hard.
I figured I'd throw one of my favorite players in there for consideration. So.
Well, I like Woodson, but the reason I didn't consider him was I thought about Oakland.
Yeah. I mean, he played there. He played in Oakland for a long time.
Yeah. We played in Oakland twice.
Yeah.
He was there at the beginning of his career and the end of his career. He was in the Packers in the middle.
Yeah.
But he was a badass there. I mean, like I said, he won Defensive Player of the Year in Green Bay. Yeah. I think the year they won the Super Bowl, I believe.
I'm not sure what year they won the Super Bowl.
Was it 9 or 10, something like that?
It had to be 9 or 10. Yeah.
Well, he won Defensive Player of the Year in 9. So
they won the Super Bowl in 9 or 10 one of those years. Because they beat the Steelers, right?
And the Steelers go back the next year and
beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Or were they there the year before?
It's one or the other. It's flip. I think they're back-to-back years the Steelers go, isn't it?
Something like that. You're probably right. But in 2000, I'm guessing it's 2000. You said 2009.
Because I remember Troy Polamalu and Larry Fitzgerald be on the cover of Madden.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's 10.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's 10.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2009 for the Packers, he had 9 interceptions, returned 3 of them for touchdowns, to go with 4 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, 2 sacks, and 74 tackles. That's pretty badass for a corner.
Yes, indeed.
But anyway, we talked about him for almost 10 minutes already.
So I take it nobody else has Woodson?
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
okay. I'm sorry, Ray.
He's at my number 3.
Number 3. Okay.
I like it. All
right. Well, Uncle Doug, who's your number 4?
I went real old school. I went with Don Hudson, the receiver.
Yeah, he was in my little mix of 3 or 4 old guys I looked into a lot.
Got 3 NFL titles, 2 MVPs, 4 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pros. His catching numbers are not great compared to today's guys, but he led the NFL 8 times in yards receptions, and touchdowns.
Yeah.
In 2012, the NFL Network said he was the greatest Packer of all time.
Wow.
Bleacher Report has him as the greatest Packer of all time too.
Yeah, he was the first receiver to have a 1,000-yard season. He also had 30 interceptions, including one season where he led the NFL in interceptions.
Those old guys are crazy.
And he kicked 172 extra points.
Wow.
Well,
That's a true badass right there.
he is also my number 4.
Oh, okay.
And here's a crazy one for you. He led the NFL in touchdowns every year of his career but 2.
What ended up being his career totals for receiving?
His career totals are 7,991 yards, 99 touchdowns. His
99 touchdowns is still legit today. Like, that's...
He led the league for
Borderline
four
Hall of Fame
straight
stuff.
years to start his career. Even as a rookie, he led the NFL in touchdowns. And then he had a year where he didn't. Then he did it for 5 straight years. And then his last year in the league, he didn't. Even though he had 9 that year. It's not like he had a little amount.
I mean, he said he was just under like 8,000 yards.
Yeah.
That's super impressive for back then.
We have Hall of Famers from the 70s that have similar amounts of yards.
Like Lynn Swan's in the Hall of Fame, and he has like 4,000 or 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
Like,
Lynn Swan's there because he has 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
He made a couple of huge. Well, he has a Super Bowl MVP, and he had a couple of those huge catches against the Cowboys or whoever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome for a guy back then. Did you have him, Drew? No.
He has 488 receptions, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier.
I'm guessing he was a deep threat. That's a lot of yards for those receptions. What was it? Yards per catch average?
Yards per catch.
Should be pretty high.
I don't.
Should be.
Oh, yards a catch, 15.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's
Yeah.
real good.
Especially for playing in the 30s and 40s.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like they were barely passing the ball a ton then. I mean, that's why I struggle with this one. I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but I almost put the running back because that's how you played back then.
Taylor?
Right.
Yeah.
Is it Taylor?
Is it Taylor?
Well, Taylor and Horning came a little later. I mean, Hudson may have overlapped with them some. Hudson was, like you said, like 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And then Taylor and Horning were there, I think, in the 60s, maybe 50s.
Didn't they play together? Weren't they like a two-back thing for
Yes.
a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about those two is they each got an MVP.
Yeah.
What team has ever had 2 running backs get MVP in the same backfield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
I watched this NFL Network top 10 list. I like to watch them. They're pretty fascinating. And it was the best backfield combos of all time, and they were number 1.
Yeah, they're tough.
And like Jim Brown and some Mitchell guy were number 2. I couldn't remember the Mitchell guy very well, but they said he was very talented, very good for a few years.
Yeah. Well, those things and him playing defense as well and actually putting up defensive numbers is what kind of pushed him over the top for me. I was like, I got to put this guy on my list even though he is that old. It's just crazy. Like I said, he's got 30 career interceptions.
Yeah, and to actually lead the league one year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And he only played defensive back for 6 years.
Mm.
So in 6 years, he got 30 interceptions.
Seems like all those older guys racked up a lot of interceptions. Those quarterbacks must have really just been throwing the ball to their team a lot.
Yeah, we're going to talk. Oh, well, I'm going to talk about that. Somebody will talk about that soon.
He also has a safety, by the way.
So we got both of you have 4s left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Ray, who's your number 4, buddy?
So I guess it wouldn't be in Ray fashion if I didn't throw in a wild card. So I threw in Willie Wood. I don't know how crazy of a pick that is, but defensive back, 5 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowl titles, all 60s team, 8-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro, 48 interceptions, 2 TDs, 16 fumble recoveries, and he got a lone sack. I thought, we're going to talk about a lot of MVPs here. So I might as well put up a honorable mention, I guess, at number 4, I guess I would say, because the offensive is just so stacked. I mean, the defense is pretty stacked, but I thought I'd probably bring up somebody that nobody really knows. So I thought throwing Willie Wood.
Yeah, he led the league in interceptions one year.
Yeah, he was good.
His accolades are pretty unreal. I mean, Hall of Fame, 8 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, 2 Super Bowls, 5-time NFL champ, All-60s team. Like, he's a bad boy.
And for not being an MVP, I thought, I mean, all them titles, I mean, he thrown down and doing something on these teams. I mean,
I mean, I'm not going to act like I know a ton about him. Like, I knew who he was, but I'm not an expert on Willie Wood. But I'd done a little reading on him and knew the name, but
Yeah, when Ray said his name, I was like, oh, I read that guy's name earlier. That was pretty much the extent of it.
I just seen him on old NFL Network stuff. I used to be quite obsessed with it and watch it for hours and hours at one of my ex-girlfriend's houses at night all the time. So I've seen a lot of random ass footage of old players.
Is that what kept you around, was the NFL Network?
Probably. That and I still have her Netflix on my PlayStation.
I seen her as I was getting out of my car to come up
It's been
here.
like 6 years since we've quit dating. 7 years, I don't know, something like that. But
Well, I would say
I enjoy the Netflix, so shout out.
Yeah, I was
Shout
like,
out.
you've been married a hot minute, Wade, so we didn't think it was recent.
I mean, I can't remember how long I've been married, so
Oh, God.
Well, we know Emma doesn't listen, so we're all right.
yeah.
Oh my
The odds
gosh.
for listening to the Packers episode are very slim.
No.
Did she listen to the Steelers episode, Wade?
No, she hasn't listened after like the first like 3 basketball episodes.
Yeah.
Probably good. Remember that one time I was commenting about her twin sister?
Yeah. No, what I think
about that.
what I think would be better is not Emma listening. It's Emma telling her dad he should listen, and then her dad listening to that.
They're like
episode.
their whole family is like, oh, I'm gonna listen to Wade's podcast, and then they're always
Right.
like, oh, Wade can't come to Christmas. Just no.
All right, so Drew, you're the only one with the 4 left.
I am.
All right, what you got, buddy?
Ray Nitschke.
Nitschke.
He was my
He's
5.
tough.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the inner bear in me, the linebacker, mean-looking linebacker. Look up a picture of him. He's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was the Packers' Dick Buckus.
yeah.
That's what they say on the NFL Network.
Yeah,
Those
I
rascals.
think it's the inner Chicago bear in me.
They said he's the Dip Buckus and Jack Lambert version
Yes.
for the Packers. That's
Yep.
what they
Yeah.
compared him to.
He's 5-time All-Pro. He's got 1 Pro Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, 5 NFL champs, All-60 team.
Hold on. He has 5 All-Pros
Yeah.
and 1 Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
It makes no sense.
was he playing the same time as Butkus?
Probably.
Yeah, but then
Probably
he'd make all
close.
pros.
Well, he overlapped with Lambert too.
Yeah. They probably would have been on either end of his career.
But honestly, that actually happens more than you think in football. Or wait, yeah, or like someone make an All-Pro team, but for some reason won't make the Pro Bowl.
But to
Like,
do it that many
it's so
times,
weird.
that's weird.
No, that many times is abnormal, but it does happen to random people sometimes.
Oh, he has 25 interceptions,
Yeah.
2 of them for touchdown.
Yeah, which for a linebacker, middle linebacker, that's
Yeah.
not bad.
And he was a big boy too, especially for back then.
Yeah.
235.
Like he
Yeah.
was nasty too.
He was. He had a mean disposition.
Him and Butkus were the badasses, and then shortly after that, Lambert. All very similar and big and mean as hell, and were the intimidators. And
He got 16 sacks, but of course that's not official.
and of course we
don't have
no
his tackles, yeah.
So
So
I will say he has, in his career, he has 1 catch for 34 yards.
Oh, yeah.
it's a good
Oh,
catch.
Hey,
But yeah, I thought I'd support the defensive side of the football for the Packers.
Yeah.
there you
No,
go.
Ray Nitschke's he was a badass.
He was on my short list after the guys that made my list.
Yeah, I was considered him as well.
Again, we go back to we have a linebacker with no tackles. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I don't understand the stats in the NFL.
well, at least I can get this one a little bit more because, I mean, this isn't the 80s and 90s. Like, what's his name we were talking about? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
this is the 60s. You know, like, okay, you know, we don't have tackles for then. I got it. You know, we didn't have tackles for any of those Steeler guys we talked about from those
Right.
teams. You know, so I mean,
I did do a little research. I'm trying to remember if it was something I watched on NFL Network or something. Oh, it was something about the weirdest, like the 10 weirdest things in NFL history, and one of them was tackles, recorded tackles on the list. And I guess for a while, just individual teams kept track of their own tackles. So it was just up to that person recording the tackles on that team on what they perceived as a tackle. Like, you know, like you might just kind of be in the scrum of things, not really sure if you even came close to making a tackle. And then some teams you might have got credit for it, and other teams you might not have. And tackles were kind of just a hot mess up until a certain date, I believe, and then it became something that was like officially kept track of, like everything else kind of was. But it was, yeah, some of the numbers that we can kind of see at a certain point are all over the place, and then it was, yeah. They pretty much said it's just a disaster of a mess there for a while.
this is off subject, guys, but Woj just tweeted that the Knicks trade Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks to the Pistons, which will take $19 million off their salary, clearing cap so they can sign Jalen Brunson. 4 years, $100 million.
I don't know what their obsession is with Brunson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a nice piece, but he's not the star you put, you know, like
Yeah.
to put you over the top.
On like a really good championship team, he might be like the third best player.
Maybe.
Yeah.
On like a championship team, I wouldn't even know if I don't even know if I go third. To be 100% honest
Maybe.
with you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but yeah. He'll be, well, I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. I like Brunson. I'm not trying to bag on him, but it's going to sound like it during this. But, like, first off, he gets picked on defensively because he's so tiny. And his splits on his shooting are asinine because he can't shoot off the catch. Like, he can only shoot off the dribble. So that means he can't spot up.
Yeah.
So he can't play off the ball.
He's really young. He just needs to get a little more consistent and develop a few more things. He could probably be consistent, like 18 to 20 points, 6, 7 assist guy here in a few years.
So your three best players are unhappy Julius Randle. What's the kid from Duke? Yeah,
Barrett.
R.J. Barrett and Jalen Brunson.
Barrett's pretty good, and he has potential to be even better.
I'm not saying I dislike him, but those are going to be your three best players, and you're going to be well into the luxury tax for that.
Yeah, that's
It's the Knicks, dude.
It is the
It's the
Knicks.
Knicks.
That is very
right.
fair.
Yeah, they struggle.
All right, well, back to the Packers. Well, wait, guys, I will say this. We haven't mentioned a single quarterback, and we already have four guys.
Yeah.
Well,
you know quarterbacks are coming.
Yeah.
So,
is it back to me?
well, everybody's done with their four, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Raid already has used his three, correct?
Right.
But everybody also has their three?
Yep.
Yeah.
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 All right. So, yeah, go ahead, Wade.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, my 3 is Bart Starr.
Yep. He's my
My
three.
three is Bart
He's my
Starr.
three.
Oh,
My number 2 is Bart Starr.
Okay.
My number 1 is Bart Starr.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, go ahead, Wade.
Well, it's just kind of the original badass quarterback of the whole franchise. He started off. He was the face of the franchise with Lombardi. He obviously gets the first 2 Super Bowls in NFL history. Just like we've said with a few other older guys, he's one of the pioneers, the OGs that kicked everything off. He was a good, smart quarterback for back then. He did what he had to do to win, and yeah, he got the first 2 Super Bowls in NFL history. I mean,
He has the first 2 Super Bowls, but before that, he won 5 NFL championships.
yeah.
And he got both those Super Bowls. He won the MVP for.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the All 60s team. Yeah, he's got a whole bunch of these Player of the Year awards. So I assume that was pre-MVP. I don't know.
Right. Older football is crazy. I don't thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you had the AP Player of the Year. and you had the UPI Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Well, he's got Player of the Years, but he also has an MVP.
Right.
So was he playing during the crossover where they switched from one award to the other? Because this isn't an offensive Player of the Year. This is Player of the Year.
Okay.
So, like,
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Back
either.
then, that was different.
Yeah. You know, he finished his career with almost 25,000 passing yards and 152 TDs. Although there's 138 interceptions.
Yeah,
in
that's
there.
what I was thinking when I mentioned interceptions earlier. It's like,
Yep.
For back then, that was good.
that's what they did. Yeah,
That was
they threw a
good.
lot of interceptions.
Like, they throw it 18 times a game. Good chance 3 of them are going to their team. Like, you know, in
Well,
some games.
here's the thing, though.
Although he's
what-
better than a lot of the other guys.
He is. But the big part of this, though, is what the DBs were allowed to do to the receivers during this
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, the ball's in the air. I'm just going to fuck you up and go after the ball myself.
Right.
Like that, I mean, that's literally what the DBs did then. We're not picking on one or two of them. That's what they all
Right,
did.
that's what they did. Yeah.
It was, well, now I'm going to shove you to the ground or, you know, whatever the case, so I can go after the ball and not you. I mean, that was their style of play then.
Mm.
You know, so, like, sometimes you're looking at these interceptions going, well, that had nothing to do with the quarterback. That means
Right.
the wide receiver lost this battle with the DB on that play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bart Starr compared to some of the other older guys, I mean, he's not bad. He really only has a couple years where the interceptions kind of look nasty. But he never, compared to some of those other older players, he's nowhere near as, like, you ever look at, like, Joe Namath shit?
He's
Like-
thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns.
Like Namath, some of his interceptions are insane. Bart Starr looks much more efficient, although not, I shouldn't say much more efficient, but he kept it more under control. And I think a large thing with him was they always talk about like how great of a leader he was,
Yeah.
how much his teammates liked him. He helped run the
Yeah.
team with Lombardi, and he was a huge part on and off the field of the Packers.
Yeah, well, we're still talking about 138 interceptions. We're not talking about, like, Brett Favre's 380.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, the number is manageable. I mean, like, I do believe Ben Roethlisberger has more interceptions than this.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah.
You know, guys like that, you know,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying anything against those guys. I'm just saying, like, it's just that his number is close to his touchdowns. Really. I mean, he doesn't have a 20 interception season. We can all name 5 or 6 guys off the top of our head that have thrown 20 interceptions in a season.
Oh, it's been lots of great quarterbacks have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, Peyton Manning has a 20 interception season under his
I
belt.
believe with you 28 his rookie year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a rough year.
Well, Eli did it multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, Eli in the middle of his career was just every other year leading the league in interceptions. I think he did it like 4 different times. Yeah. I mean, it was, yeah. I don't know.
So.
Quarterback was just much different back then. He has some seasons where you just look at it and you're like, my God, that's awful. But if you really compare it to other guys and just think about the time he's playing in, he went out there and did his job and helped his team win. And was a good leader.
Yeah.
And he has some seasons where his completion percentage is pretty impressive for back then. He has what it looks like
Well,
four seasons over 60%, which back then is pretty legit.
that was pretty good.
I mean,
That's pretty legit.
in all 4 of those seasons, he led the NFL in completion
Yeah.
percentage, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
one year he averaged 59.9, so I guess we can call that 60 as well, probably. So, yeah.
But yeah. So he made everyone's list, looks like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right, who has a 3 left?
We're all off the board.
No,
Wait, do you
I have a
one?
3. I have a 3
Oh,
left.
Okay.
Oh,
go
Because
for
Bart
it.
Starr was my number 1.
Oh,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
my number
What's
3
your
is
3?
is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay. Well, Rodgers is my 2.
He's my number one.
He's my number 1.
I was surprised at you.
Yeah, I know. I figured, but
Aaron Rodgers is not on my list.
that needs to change. He's
Go ahead and give us a spiel, Ray. Give us the spiel.
Okay, so
I like how we're making him defend his pick other than us defending ours.
I'll defend him once Ray gets done.
Well, I'm sure he has a strong opinion on why he did it. So
yes. So Is he one of the best quarterbacks of all time? Yes. How many Super Bowls has he won? 1. Little bit overrated? Yes. Last few years, he really pissed me off because he acts like
Yeah, he makes me mad every year.
he acts
Yep.
because he acts like a bougie ass bitch. He goes into playoffs, chokes. For the last 10 years, he's been choking. So there's no way in hell I could have put his ass on the Green Bay's Packers list on the Mount Rushmore. There's no way.
So, Ray,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this to you, buddy.
Okay, let's hear it.
There is no way I can disagree with you that Aaron Rodgers has been a choke artist in the playoffs. He's a total choke artist. And the year he won the Super Bowl, that team was fucking loaded.
Charles
for
Woodson, baby.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, here, let me ask you this one. How the fuck do you lose to the 49ers on your home field by what was it, a point? And you can't score a fucking a touchdown?
Dude, Jimmy fucking G.
No.
Come on, man.
Robbie freaking Gold.
Yeah,
I mean,
who
come on.
was a bear?
Bet you wish you had him back then, buddy.
He's going to make the 49ers Mount Rushmore.
No, he's not.
Let's go ahead and leave
That's
off
just twisting
Montana
the
Rice.
knife.
Well, I will say, although he is on my list, Ray, you did bring up some very valid points on.
Yep.
First off, he has been very fucking annoying over the last few years.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know-
they spent 2 years talking about stupid shit. I mean, a good 6 months, month chunk was just, is he gonna sign? Is he gonna come back? Is he gonna play? Well, I don't know, bitch. Why don't you wait around and see if he signed the contract? I mean, goddamn. Let's talk about something else besides Aaron Rodgers for 6 months. I mean, that shit was so dumb. Just burns my ass.
But I will also say this: he's a 4-time MVP.
Yes.
Yep.
He's only thrown
Yeah.
93 interceptions in his whole career.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I agree with almost everything you said, but when you're going to go down as maybe one of the 5 greatest quarterbacks ever, you probably got to be on your team's Mount Rushmore.
I mean,
that-
anyone is nervous when Aaron Rodgers gets the ball with like a minute left in the game and all he needs to do is score. During the regular season, he's going to score.
And he's like, I don't know what it is, but he's like the king of the Hail Mary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The way he throws those is unreal.
He does. He does it perfectly. How he gets kind of like lops it up there, and he has this supreme arm strength and can get it there from anywhere on the field.
But it's like the angle he throws it, like it's such an extreme angle that it
Yeah.
goes up and it comes down like that same angle, but it still goes down the field. I don't know
Yeah.
how he does it.
Right.
Well,
it's
it really
crazy.
gives his wide receiver, or tight end, or whatever, a good chance to really get it. Like it's a legit just jump ball. Like when not all guys can throw it like that. Like it's kind of hard to explain without someone being able to watch
Because they
it.
said like the way he throws it, he would have hit the scoreboard at AT&T Stadium at Dallas when he did that one in Detroit. Like the way
Yeah.
he threw it, it would have hit the scoreboard.
Well, the other thing is too is he, instead of throwing it into the end zone like most quarterbacks do, he throws it to the front of the end
Right.
zone. And like they obviously practice it because the receivers, like the first like 2 or 3 receivers down the field, box out the DBs in the end zone,
Mm.
and
No.
somebody runs underneath and goes up with the rest of the guys.
They're not going to call pass interference on a Hail Mary.
No, they're not.
No,
They're
they're
not.
not in the last play. No. Well, is everyone who hasn't revealed a spot? It's Brett Favre, right?
right.
Yes.
That's my 1. That's your
Yeah.
all's 2.
2,
And your
yeah.
what do you
That's
have left? What
2.
number is 2?
And that's my one as
And that's
well.
your 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
my
Figure we might as well
two
just go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we got Favre spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something over there?
Well, I was going to say that the way I ranked the quarterbacks was on their quarterback rating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because those 3 I wrote them down immediately. Was my
Oh,
top
yeah.
3 guys, and Bart Starr's quarterback rating is 80.5, Favre's is 86, and Rodgers is 104.5.
Mm.
Well, Rodgers had the highest career QB rating ever. I think
No,
he
not
did.
anymore. He did until this year.
Someone passed him.
I'm trying to remember who, or not. I don't know. No, it wasn't this year because he didn't play. He's passed by Deshaun Watson,
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
it must have been the year before.
That'll fluctuate a lot throughout the years. Deshaun's only played, 4 seasons?
Yeah.
Like, actually played.
And it doesn't look like he's going to play this year.
So,
So-
hold it
played all
again.
last year.
No, he's
so-
getting suspended.
But yeah. Well,
We'll see how long the suspension is.
I didn't put Favre at 1 because I think he's better than Rodgers. I think Rodgers is better than Favre, but Brett Favre in the 90s was the most popular player in the NFL, and everyone's I almost said something really inappropriate, but like people were obsessed with Brett Favre. Like
yes.
it was absurd how popular he was. Like John Madden was obsessed with him. The media loved him.
Yeah.
He was the face of the NFL for a super long time, and people hate Aaron Rodgers because of the way he acts. So for me, that's what pushed him over the top, and that's why I think he's the number 1 Green Bay Packer. I think he's the first one you think of. He did set a ton of records. When he retired, he owned all the good and bad records by a quarterback. He had the huge game streak, so he has like the Cal Ripken record of the NFL. He retired number 1 all time in yards and touchdowns and interceptions. He is one of the most exciting players to watch. I mean, he was going to do some of the most amazing throws you've ever seen and then do one of the dumbest ones you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, his popularity was immense. Like
he
it was
was the
insane.
ultimate gunslinger. I
Yes.
mean, he just went out and slung it around.
He is the
I mean,
true meaning of a gunslinger.
I think everybody was watching the Monday night when he played. Was it his mom that
Dad.
passed? His
Yeah,
dad passed
Dad.
away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he went out and you could tell he was just torn
He
up.
threw like six touchdowns that day.
Yeah, he
It was
just
something
went
like
out
that,
and just tore it up.
By the way,
Unreal.
he threw 20 interceptions in his career 6 times.
Yeah.
Oh, his interception totals were insane.
Yeah,
That's why he
he's
has
up there.
the most. He has 336 interceptions.
Right.
By the way, Wade, I agree with what you said. That's why he's ahead of Rodgers on my list. And I know it doesn't seem like it because we don't have a guest today, but we actually know quite a few Packers fans.
Yes.
And every Packers fan I know loves the shit out of Brett Favre, and they're
Yeah.
kind of lukewarm on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, like I have a couple friends that were Green Bay Packer fans, and Brett Favre is their favorite player of all time.
Yeah.
Like, so I just thought he is an all-time great, and I don't think him and Rodgers are terribly far apart. Like, if you made a top 10 list of all-time quarterbacks, I think they're both going to make the list. Rodgers probably be ahead of Favre, but it's not like one's going to be like the 30th greatest quarterback and one's going to be like the 6th or 5th. You know, like they're both top 10 all-time QBs. And I think Favre is so much more popular.
I agree.
I feel like that's what made me put him at number 1.
But here's my thing. Favre's career numbers are still far superior to Rodgers. Obviously, he's played longer at this point. But Rodgers keeps trying to retire every other year. So who knows if he's ever going to get to the play as long as Favre. And the other things, they both have a championship. Nobody's in the lead on that. And Favre has 3 MVPs of his own right.
I think he won all 3 of them in a row.
I don't know that.
I'm pretty sure he did, I think.
I'm not telling you you're wrong. I said I don't know. He did. They're 3 straight
95,
years.
96, 97.
Yep.
And he kind of proved, everyone said if you just a true gunslinger can't win Super Bowls. That's kind of was a narrative, and he pulled it off, and he made another one. I mean, I guess it kind of just
he lost.
He lost to Denver.
Yes. Yeah.
And he beat New England, I believe.
Yeah.
He did. He did beat New England.
So I mean, it really just depends on who you consider to be a gunslinger, but there's no doubt he was a gunslinger, and he was able to win a Super Bowl and many MVPs and set records. And
But he also has 43 game-winning drives in his career.
I mean,
that's pretty cool.
He won 186 games compared to 112 losses, which is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's a pretty. He might have a better win percentage than Aaron Rodgers, to be honest. I mean, winning percentages and everything. Obviously, it's team sport, but I mean,
here's the biggest difference for me, and this is something that super bothers me about Aaron Rodgers. Okay, it didn't matter who walked out on the field with Brett Favre. He was going to give it his absolute fucking all to win that fucking ball game. and he was going to chuck it and chuck it and chuck it and do everything he could, no matter if it was a shitty wide receiver or a Hall of Fame receiver. Aaron Rodgers pouts when he walks out there without his guys. Like a few years ago, like he was so mad because his receivers weren't playing well and just was chucking the ball in the stands repeatedly. Like he broke the record, just completely smashed the record for passes thrown away in a season.
Yeah.
Because he was just throwing the ball out of bounds all the time. And he was just pouting. Like, Aaron Rodgers is one of the, if not the, most talented quarterbacks of all time. And to be honest with you, there's a very strong case to be made that he squandered it. Like, he gets to the playoffs every fucking year and loses the first game half the time. And it's not very often that not their first or second year in the league, obviously, but, like, in the primes of the all-time great quarterbacks' careers where their team wins a couple games. And we watched Rodgers do that a few years ago. Like, they win, like, 4 fucking games? And
I think the biggest thing with Rodgers is his stats are always going to look phenomenal, but when he loses games, it's because he will refuse to take big chances because he doesn't want to look bad and get interceptions.
yes.
So he will refuse to push the ball into tight windows or push it downfield because he doesn't want that INT to look bad.
Like the fucking playoff game Ray brought up.
So, I mean, his stats will always look spectacular, but in big games, when he loses, it's because he doesn't want to look bad.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go out there and give it his all because if he thinks he throws 2 interceptions, that he's going to look bad, and he just will refuse to do it. So, I mean, his stats will always look good, but it's just because he's throwing the ball out of bounds instead of trying to fit it in a tight window on a 3rd and 7 or, shit like that. And that's why he lost to the 49ers last year. They should have beat the 49ers. There's no way.
Yeah.
The 49ers were a good team, don't get me wrong.
They weren't that good.
Well, the
At
Packers.
Lambeau.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the other thing, too. Like, he tried to blame the weather after the game. I'm like, you were playing at home, dumbass.
Right.
This is your weather.
And you're the one that
That's what you
said,
wanted.
and you're the one that posted on Twitter, if you ever give me a home game at Lambeau, I'll win. No.
Oh my god.
and you're playing a team from California.
Yes. Dude, you can't be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, just winning 4 MVPs, like you coming off an MVP, and go out and not score a single touchdown in a playoff game. Like, that just can never happen, no matter who you are. I would say the same thing about Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or any of the Breeze, Marino, Montana. If you just went into a playoff game at home and just completely laid the day, couldn't score a single touchdown, we'll rip you. Like, it just can't happen. Especially in today's NFL. It'd be one thing if we were like, hey, Staubach didn't score a touchdown against Steel Curtain. Like an all-time great defense. So-and-so didn't score a touchdown against
85 Bears.
the 85 Bears.
No one did besides Marino.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can make that case. This was the 49ers. They were, like you said, they were good. They were a playoff team, but they were nothing special.
But the next week, Rams, I mean, they didn't torch him, but Matthew Stafford was slinging the ball around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
They have They do have a really good defense. The Niners do. But Rodgers should have been able to score at least a few touchdowns.
he beat him earlier in the year,
and
34 to
Yeah.
something. He had that late drive on Sunday Night Football.
And you have Rodgers. You have, if not the best receiver in the NFL, not anymore, but at the time he had, if not the best, one of the top 3 or 4. And he has a Pro Bowl running back. They've had great offensive line for the past 3 or 4 years against a defense that's really good, but you're also going against an offense that outside of Deebo Samuel sucks because George Kittle is always blocking. For some reason, I don't use him in the pass game very much. And Jimmy G sucks ass. Like, Jimmy G's not very good.
I mean, the Niners have a decent run game.
At the end of the game,
Yeah, that's
to
true.
get your boy, the kicker, into position to kick the game-winning field goal, they literally, on every single play down the field, gave the ball to Debo.
Yeah. That's all they did, is give the ball to Debo and get robbed.
What was the
ran
final
hand-
score to that game? Anybody remember?
It was because the 49ers, the only touchdown they scored was that block punt.
It was like
It was like 13-10.
yeah, I was gonna say 13 something, but yeah, I can't.
And at a certain point, like if you're a really young quarterback, and it takes you a while to really develop in the playoffs, that's everyone goes through that. everyone goes through growing pains. Like,
Yep.
or if you're like, if you're really old and you're not the quarterback you used to, it's kind of okay. But he was the MVP. Like, there's nothing like, yeah, I don't know. It was kind of dumbfounding.
You know something else that bothers me about Football Reference, unlike Basketball Reference, is they don't have a place for the playoffs.
Yeah.
They don't give us their playoff stats. Basketball, it's a standard.
Right, yeah.
There's the playoff stats. And football, they don't. I can't go down and be like, well, Rogers laid an egg here in the playoffs, or Rogers busted his ass.
It's right next.
It was 13-10.
You want to look at Rogers' playoff stats?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just pull up reference,
Yeah, I'm there.
and then just is on the top part, little bar, it'll say regular season, and playoffs right next to it. You just click it. You see it?
I'm looking.
You can look up all of his years of playoff stats.
The top. No, I don't see
Here,
it.
let me see.
I kind of
This is
get
good podcasting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there. Okay, I got you. So I can get to it. My bad.
There we go.
I bashed them unnecessarily.
His playoff stats are actually kind of good, but it comes back to what I said. When he loses, it's because he just refuses to take chances, and then his offense stalls out. Like, his stats are good. He has, 40-some touchdowns, 13 interceptions?
Yeah, 45-13. Yep.
It's, yeah, I don't know. But as much shit as we're saying about this guy, he will go down as probably a top 5 quarterback ever, because he is amazing, and he does have a ring and 4 MVPs, and he's had all kinds of records, and I know he has he did some QB rating records, and I thought he was the all-time leader in QB rating, but apparently Deshaun Watson passed him. Kind of blows my mind a little bit, but
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure that's who it was. They did a big thing on it this year. Because I remember watching it during the pregame. They were talking about how Rodgers wasn't the all-time leader anymore. And I'm pretty sure it was Deshaun Watson.
I'll look it up, Deshaun. Well, who all have we named? So we start narrowing stuff
So
down.
we have Woodson, Hudson, Woods, Nitschke, Starr, Rodgers, Favre.
It's Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Oh, it's
passed him.
Mahomes. Okay, I'm
Watson
sorry.
is tied with Rodgers at 104.5, but Mahomes is number 1 at 105.8. And you got Russell Wilson at 101.8.
I will say,
those are the only 4 in the hundreds.
I think, Mahomes is very good, don't get me wrong, but without Tyreek Hill, I think things are going to change for him.
I do too.
I think things are going to
And
change.
it's not just losing Tyreek Hill. It's that Kelsey's already started his decline. We've seen it the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, it's Tyreek being gone plus Kelsey not being who he was. He's still really good,
Yeah.
but he's not who he was.
Yeah. Well, I think Kelsey will, always be good because his game isn't about athleticism. He's a good athlete, but he has great hands. He's really smart and always finds spots in the zone to sit down. He always gets himself open. But he's not like someone just overpowers you on jump balls like Gronk or Antonio Gates, or he's not just faster than you like Shannon Sharp was. Like, he's just smart. He's just good.
He plays his route running and stuff is a lot like Jason Witten.
Yeah, but he's more athletic than Jason Witten.
He is.
Yes,
He
he's
is. Yeah.
definitely more.
Yeah.
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 So here's the thing, guys. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but Brett Favre and Bart Starr made every list, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are automatically
I'd say
on.
that's
Okay.
2 automatic, yeah.
Rodgers was left off one list. Everybody else is either a 1 or a 2 list guy.
Because we had, 2 Hudsons, 2 Woodsons, and a Nitschke?
Yep.
Correct?
And Willie Woods.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Forgot
yeah.
about Woods. Yeah. Well, Ray, I respect your Rodgers argument, but it's going to be a tough one to leave him off the Mount Rushmore.
Right, I don't like him at all.
That's why I was surprised he made 1 on your list. I figured you would still put him on.
Well, it's probably because I've seen him play, and I haven't seen Brett Favre play. Like, you guys talking about him being famous. I wasn't alive. I don't.
Was he really been gone that long? Doesn't feel like he's been gone that long.
I've seen Brett Favre play for the Vikings more than I have for the Packers.
Oh, well, that may be true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was say he
was
retired in
with the Jets before that.
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jets.
2010.
You probably didn't really get to see him play.
I
with
never
the
saw
Packers.
prime Brett Favre with the Packers.
Yeah, I could see that. I bet he's been gone longer than you think.
2010
Yeah.
was his last season.
Yeah,
Well,
I remember the end with him and that
He would have
NFC
been like
championship with the Vikings.
6. Like, wouldn't he have been like 6 years old then?
Yeah.
Unless I just botched my math. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him playing for the Vikings more than I do the Packers.
Well, I'll be honest though, Favre was just fun.
He was. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, he's super exciting.
But here's my thing. I think if I was a Packers fan, I would have found Favre's interceptions infuriating. But the Packers fans I talk to don't seem to feel that way. Like, that's not what they talk about. They talk about, oh, man, he was... First off, they bring up the Iron Man. Like, the most games ever started in a row. And then they're like, oh, but he took us to the promised land. And he gave, like, how great he was and how hard he played and all those things. The interceptions are way down the list for the Packers fans.
One of the things he's known for is ending playoff runs with ridiculously bad interceptions.
Yes.
He won against my team.
Yeah.
He did.
Well, that
against
one in the
Eagles
NFC championship against the Saints, that was just dumb.
That
He's
Vikings
rolling out
team
and he throws
was
it
so across his body.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
just, and they were in field goal range.
He
He should have just thrown it away.
He ended
Yeah.
3 straight playoff runs at one point on an interception.
Yeah.
What, 2 with Packers and the Vikings?
Yeah.
'Cause in between, he missed the playoffs with the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and they were all... Well, I know at least 2 of them were really bad interceptions.
Yeah.
The Vikings one that Drew just said was really bad.
Because they were in field goal range.
Because
and
you ever heard the announcer? The Vikings announcer loses his mind when Favre does that. He
Well-
pretty much is just blatantly insulting
well,
Brett Favre.
even if he misses the kick, they're still going to go to overtime. I mean, they end up losing after his interception, but
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, that was the thing with Favre. He could take you and do some crazy things to win you games, but he was going to lose you some games too.
Well, here's the thing. The year they won the Super Bowl, like the Packers with Favre, it was like something they talked about at the time. Reggie White came to him and was like, listen, you don't have to win all these games. We're on the other side of the ball. We're really good.
And they were.
They were good.
So, we'll keep you in games. Just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Packers had really when they were making those couple Super Bowls with Favre, they had some pretty good defenses as well.
Well, I just said the name Reggie White. That's one of the greatest defenders ever
Right.
at any position.
Yeah.
We should give him a shout out for being a Packer
Well, yeah.
for a while. I mean,
Well, I thought about
we're going to
it.
see him on a different team later on, but
I guarantee you'll see him on a
Yes.
later on.
But
he spent a good chunk with the Packers and was one of the main reasons they
win
won a Super Bowl.
Did he win a defense player of the year in Green Bay?
Oh, in Green Bay, I'm not sure.
I know he did in Philly, but I can't remember if he did or
I
not.
don't know. But, I mean, he was still pretty legit Reggie White
He had
with
some-
Green Bay.
He had double-digit sack seasons there, for sure.
Like, he was the anchor of their defense for a Super Bowl. So, I mean, Reggie White does get some Packer love.
Yeah, Reggie White's got 2 Defensive Player of the Years with the Packers.
He got 2 with the Packers?
2 with
Yeah.
the Packers?
Well,
Oh.
just one. What it says here is one with the Packers and one with the Eagles.
Maybe it
so
was.
2 total. Okay. But he did get one with the Packers. That's still pretty.
Yeah,
Second again.
yeah. He came in second once and then he came in third twice.
What are our stats looking like during his Green Bay years?
First, so we're looking at first year in Green Bay, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries.
Just hit me with sacks and tackles.
In the first year with Green Bay, there is no sacks and no tackles.
What?
It's just blank.
Jesus fucking Christ.
He's right. It's just blank.
But then his second year in Green Bay, he has 35 tackles and 14 sacks. Oh, no, wait. That's assists. Okay, I'm out of it. Sorry. His first year in Green Bay, I got it now. His first year in Green Bay, he has 79 tackles and 13 sacks.
Okay. So
Then he goes 49 tackles, 8 sacks, 42 tackles, 12 sacks, 39 tackles, 8.5 sacks. And then he goes 46 tackles back-to-back seasons and 11 and then 16 sacks.
So yeah, he was definitely still prime Reggie, even though he's getting pretty old at that point.
He's 37 that last year. He wins Defensive Player of the Year at 37 years old.
Wow.
16 sacks.
Yeah.
I don't know what year they won the Super Bowl though. Was that the '98 season?
No, 98 was Denver, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
98's Denver.
Yeah, because they talk about that in The Last Dance. How Phil Jackson says the AFC finally broke through and beat the NFC.
Was it like 96 or 97 when Green Bay won? I feel like it's one of the two.
It's earlier because
Is it earlier?
maybe because they beat.
Well, when did the Cowboys win?
No, it's 1996.
96?
You got it right here. Green Bay wins the Super Bowl versus the Patriots. 35-21.
So we kind of gave him a... Well, that's the one where the... that guy that was really good in college but fizzled out in the pros to return that kickoff for Green Bay in the Super Bowl, didn't he? He's on ESPN all the time as a analyst. He like flamed out in the NFL pretty hard, but that was his biggest moment. He played for like Ohio State, Uncle Doug, I think.
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard.
Played for Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He won a Heisman.
Yeah.
He was the only receiver before Devontae Smith did.
And then he kind of fizzled out in the pros,
Right, yeah.
but he was just pretty much a return man. But he returned one in the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure, to help him win
99 yards.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. That was. That Patriots team was pretty good though. That was Bledsoe, who is, by the way, become underrated because of the Brady thing. But he's like, when he retired, he was top 10 all time in yards.
He was a good quarterback.
He was also a gunslinger.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Which
Curtis
is why Belichick got rid of him.
Yeah.
Curtis Martin was their running back.
Hall of Famer.
Yep, Hall of Famer. Like he used to be like top 10 all time in rushing.
I believe he still is.
So I mean, and of course, then you had a Belichick defense.
Yeah.
So the fact that Favre went in there and put 35 on him,
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Belichick did always have good defenses.
He always does.
Fucking bitch.
Save it for the Patriots.
Favre threw an 81-yard touchdown and a 54-yard touchdown during this game.
Yeah. Was that the game where he has a couple big plays and he like loses his mind running around the field, takes his helmet off, and is running around the field and going nuts? And
I believe it is, yeah.
I mean, it's shit like that. That's why people love Brett Favre.
Because he's kind of just like a country bumpkin redneck guy that's like,
Yep.
well, I'm going to go out here and play football today, and I'm going to do the best I can. We'll see.
He's
Little
a
Mississippi boy.
Yeah.
country bumpkin that can throw a football 85 fucking yards.
Ain't no, but, he has endorsement deals. But even his endorsement deals are things that endear him to people. He has an endorsement deal with Levi's.
Yeah.
He has an endorsement deal with what is it called, the silver
Copperfit.
Yeah.
You see him every year during football.
Yeah, right.
It's old Brett Favre. He gets Jerry Rice, and they go out and play. And they're like they're in their primes out there in the backyard, still playing on the play.
Killing some random 4-year-olds at the park throwing some flag football.
Yeah, you can't talk. Peyton Manning kills some kids.
Peyton's in a lot of commercials. He does a lot of shit.
All right, guys. Ray, are you gonna let us put Aaron Rodgers on the list?
I mean, I really don't want to.
We all agree with you, buddy, that he's a bitch.
Yeah.
But it's just...
Look, I'll make you a deal. I'll let that one go on, but you're gonna have to fight me for the Woodson pick.
Well, I'm on the same page as you on that one. So it's cool. He agreed to Rodgers, so just write it down.
Okay, so we have 3 quarterbacks on our list now.
The 3 QB.
A first. We haven't done that. Well, we've actually been...
Have we ever
Not
had 2?
very
We haven't had 2.
We haven't had 2 because we always said we can't.
No, that's
have
not
2.
true. We had 2 quarterbacks on the.
Who?
Didn't we?
For who?
Did we put 2 quarterbacks for somebody?
Probably Cleveland, right?
No, we took them off.
Jimmy wanted us to.
It was just Otto.
Yeah, Jimmy wanted
We
us
didn't put any of the Hall of Famers for the Steelers.
No,
Right.
The Ravens didn't have any.
What about the
Bengals?
The
The
Bengals.
We brought up a few.
We only
Yeah.
put Anderson on, right?
Yeah, we left Esiason off.
You left
So you're
Boomer
right.
off.
We haven't even had multiple, and
Right.
today we got 3.
Huh.
But honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean,
No.
I
That
said
was-
it last
We
week.
all knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But I think they're the 3 right picks. Now this 4th spot, who the fuck knows?
All right, so we got 4 guys for 1 spot: Woodson, Hudson, Wood, and Nitschke. So we got 2 Woodson, 2 Hudson, 1 Wood, and 1 Nitschke.
All right. How do we want to start this? Last time we had to do this with a damn dry erase board.
Well,
Truthfully, I can go along with pretty much any of the four. They're all great.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 4 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I do believe all 4 of them have championships, and for the Packers.
Yep.
We have,
Outside of Woodson, did any of them play late enough to get a Defensive Player of the Year award? I don't know when Defensive Player of the Year award started.
Wood did not have one.
Nitschke doesn't either. I have him pulled up right now.
Oh yeah, Nitschke doesn't.
I don't know what. I'm sure they just played too early, but I honestly don't know when that award started. But
Yeah, I don't know either.
But Woodson has one.
Oh, it does.
I'm gonna Google it real quick. I'm curious when it started.
Hey, Drew, you want to Google something for me?
Yeah.
What is a Joe F. Carr trophy?
The Joe F.
Because Hudson has
Carr.
multiple of them, and I don't know what they are.
I don't know.
Given the National Football League, they recognize the most valuable player for each season.
I was going to say, it said on his page on the Packers thing that he was a 2-time MVP, but it's not listed on here. It says he's a 2-time Joe F. Carter trophy
This was
winner.
the first award given in the National Football League. It was the first award in 1938, known then as the Gruen Trophy, and renamed in 1939 in honor of NFL Commissioner Joseph Carr.
Okay, yeah, I thought that Hudson had 2 MVPs.
Yeah, he's a 2-time MVP.
Defensive Player of the Year, been given out every year since 1971.
Wow,
So-
okay. Interesting.
I think
So
most-
that would not do Willie Wood any good,
that would rule out
and it would have been
everyone but Woodson.
and almost all of Nitschke's career. So
Yeah.
neither one of them were really available for it.
At least something we can keep in mind for later dates since 71 when people introduced it.
Huh.
Well, trying to think here. All right.
Well, Ray, you got 2 guys, and the rest of us all got 1. What do you think you would getting rid of one of your guys?
Well, I mean, I was already thinking about getting rid of Wood.
Okay, so you're
Okay.
cool. You're cool with
Yeah,
getting
I'm
rid of
cool
Wood.
with that. Yeah, that's why I'm fine with
All
that.
right. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right, now
anytime.
3 guys for 1 spot. We got rid of 1.
Well, I'll even go ahead and say that your all's pick is probably the best as far as what he was able to accomplish when he did it and being like a pioneer of a position. So I'll give him the nod on that, or being impressive stat-wise. But do you think a casual fan thinks of Hudson? Like if you're not a Packers fan or a diehard NFL fan?
Old school, yeah. Newer people, no.
No.
Yeah. I would think. Yeah, and then obviously newer people I think would lean towards Woodson, obviously, but I feel like Ray Nitschke's pretty well known. Anybody else agree with?
I think when you say Nitschke's name, people are
Yeah.
going to say, "Oh yeah."
That
Like
was the
overall-
Packers old.
as far as like old and newer people, like I feel like Nitschke might be one of the more popular ones that we've talked about. I don't know. I mean, I understand Woodson played a lot of years elsewhere as well, so that counts against him. But all of his best years were with Green Bay, which is one of the reasons that drew me to him. But I don't know. It's kind of tricky. We ran into this last time. It's kind of hard. I feel like we don't want to just, like, I don't know. Like, what all do we need to incorporate here? Like, just as far as who's the best, or is there more to this? Like, sometimes I feel like we fall in a hole of we just, you know.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit either last week or the week before. I can't remember which. Like, I think all of them play a role. You know, popularity, how good you were, how long you were there.
How iconic you were.
How iconic you were. You know, what you accomplished. You know, I think all those things play a role. But I think sometimes just us in this room, not just people overall as well, I think we disagree on which ones are more important. You know, I don't think we all view it the same way, which is what makes these episodes interesting, I think. Otherwise, our list would all be super, super similar. We'd be talking about 4 or 5 guys every week.
No, I agree. I just sometimes I'm trying to figure out like what are like certain things we should focus on. Like obviously, accomplishments and stats and what you're able to accomplish, and if you contributed to football teams. I think popularity is a huge part of being on someone's Mount Rushmore. Being how popular you are with the fans, or being someone who people are going to think of first, is one of the most important parts of being on a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
like you're the face of a franchise, like in their entire history.
Well, I mean that's why Jimmy's mad at us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but none of my getting all that right now.
So let's see.
Well, should we go to the boards again?
Well, we could.
Well, let me ask you this: if we go to the boards, are we gonna have you two vote for Woodson and us two vote for Hudson and him vote for Nitschke, and then we're back to where we are right now?
But like last week, it would knock one out, then we'd have an odd number, and then someone would win.
That is true. That is true. We did do the exact same thing last week, didn't we?
Should we go to the boards?
I'm okay with it if you
Do the vote!
Yep, let's do it.
I like this new system we have.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, but at the same time, I don't want to do it every week, but at the same time...
When we're not super passionate about these
We
last...
don't have a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
that's
where
true.
the fan would come in.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think we have 3 iconic, legendary Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famers.
Ray, I need a marker.
Sometimes we just need to put down our vote, see what comes out.
No. Oh, yeah, I need one. Oh, I've got one on this. Thanks.
All right.
Write our players down.
Yep. Or you don't have to write your player down. You just have to write a player down. Yeah.
I'm writing my player down. I don't care if he gets kicked out.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
So we're voting for the one to keep?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, write down somebody else,
No,
right?
don't even lie now. Don't tell me like
Wade
that.
would be so pissed if Woodson got taken off because we tricked Ray into voting somebody else down. Wade would be sitting over there like, are you fucking serious?
Way to be beating us.
Oh, man.
Trying to think what's the good.
Is this really that hard for you, Wade?
I'm flopping back and forth on something. Okay, let's go.
All right, well, I wrote down Hudson.
I wrote down Hudson.
I put Woodson for this round.
Woodson.
Put Nitschke.
So we have deleted a player.
All right, now it's down to Charles Woodson and Hudson.
And in your defense, Drew, I saw Nitschke on some lists at number 4.
Well, I about shook things up and put Reniski on the board.
Gosh dang it, Wade.
Like I said, I saw 2 lists today with Hudson number 1.
Yeah.
You know, I had him at 4, but I saw 2 lists today where he was at 1.
Yeah.
One of which was Bleacher Report, a big time, sports stuff. So, all right, well, I guess we will
Let's do this.
go again, and potentially Drew has the deciding vote here.
Yeah, kind of like, well, it was Ray last week, so
Yeah.
Drew
Yeah.
this time.
Ray did it by himself.
Yeah, you butthole.
All right, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm not. I wonder why you guys are ready. Oh.
What you got cooking?
Yep.
All right, I got the vote.
All right.
I think we lost Drew.
Well, I put Hudson.
Drew.
I put
Ray.
Hudson.
Well, I'm just Woodson.
Woodson.
I put Hudson.
It's all right. He
Yeah.
probably deserves it.
Yeah, he does have pretty good stats.
It's the other guy. He did. It sounded like he did everything on the field.
No matter what, I was going to fight for Woodson because he's one of my favorite players, but Hudson's probably the right choice.
Well, here's my thing. I was going to go, he didn't get a vote, by the way, even though he's a multi-time MVP and like a 4-time Super Bowl champ, but one of the running backs. I was going to vote for him, and I can't remember his name, which makes me look stupid.
Jim Taylor or Paul Horning? Are you talking about the running backs?
Yeah, well, maybe it was one of them. Like I said, I can't remember.
They both have MVPs.
They're both like first ballot Hall of Famers, aren't
But I
Yeah.
saw the defensive stats from Hudson, and I was like, dude, he wasn't just the best receiver in football. He was like an elite corner.
Yeah.
Like he has half the amount of interceptions as Woodson.
they? Yeah.
Like that's pretty legit.
We did our job, Ray. We brought representation to
Yeah,
Charles Woodson.
yeah.
Right. Oh, and I like Charles.
Yes,
He
I
may
do
come
too.
up on another team.
That's very true.
You could. You could.
All right, so to review, our Packers Mount Rushmore is as follows: Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Don Hudson. So 3 quarterbacks and a wide receiver. So I guess we didn't think about this earlier, but we have no defensive players for the Packers Mount Rushmore.
Honestly, I don't think positions should matter. I think it's if you're the right four, you should be the right four. I don't think.
Is this the first time we've had all one side of the ball?
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
I think it is.
Because we had Franco Harris for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Ogden for the Ravens.
We had Ogden for the Ravens. Yeah. The Bengals had.
Did we have a defender for the? Oh, did we put Riley?
Riley.
Did
Yeah, I
we?
think Riley
Okay.
was on
Ken
there.
Riley, yep,
Yeah,
What about the Browns?
the
We
Bra-
had,
they
we
were
had
all-
both.
we had
No,
we
they
had a
were-
quarterback,
A running
a
back,
running
a
back,
tackle, and a tight end.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
did
they
go
were
all
all
off
offense.
all
Yeah.
offense for them. Yeah,
Because we didn't put Clay
because we
Matthews
spent so
Jr.
much time talking about Clay Matthews, we didn't put him down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. He was like half the podcast.
Yep, that's true. All right,
Trivia time.
it is trivia time. That will end the Packers portion of this episode and lead us into trivia. Are you ready, Drew?
Yep.
All right.
What year did the NFL start putting players' names on the back of the jerseys?
Ooh, I have no idea.
Just a pure guess.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I can't even say educated. That's just a
No,
guess.
I
Yeah.
just a guess.
Going for it. All right, I got a guess.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I
got
put
one?
78.
Okay.
But 62.
I said 37.
All right.
And I said 57.
It was 70.
Oh,
Hmm.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, I wasn't sure on that one.
I thought it was way before that.
Well, what I was sitting here, I watched Bart Starr highlights today, and they didn't have names on their jerseys. So I was like, I wasn't thin. Was that I was trying to picture Steelers highlights from the 70s in my head, and I was like, does Lambert and those guys have names? And I couldn't remember.
I was trying to picture Unitas in my head, and I was like, can I remember a Colts highlight where Unitas had his name in the back? But I honestly couldn't remember. I guessed yes, but I couldn't remember. But
All right, who would like to go next?
I got some here. All right. Talking about Rodgers and QB rating. There are 3 quarterbacks in NFL history to have an NFL season with a QB rating of 119 or higher. Name the 3 quarterbacks.
Two of them came to me fast, and now I'm sitting here befuddled over the third one.
It's a lot of great quarterbacks. A lot of great
Okay.
seasons.
There are.
All right, I got mine.
Yeah, I got 3.
All right, I got 3, but I don't feel great about it anymore.
No, I don't either.
Oh, I got 3.
Okay.
All right, well, I put Manning, Mahomes, and Rodgers.
Put Manning, Brady, and Montana.
Okay.
I put Manning, Mahomes, and Brady.
Okay.
Well, then I put Manning, Montana, and Steve Young.
Steve Young's a good guess, but it's happened 4 times. Rodgers has done it twice, Peyton has done it once, and Nick Foles has the other one.
Oh my gosh.
It was the year with like the 2 or 3 interceptions and like
Yeah.
28 touchdowns.
Yeah. He doesn't even hold that record anymore. Brady broke it, too.
Hmm.
Yeah, he cheats. We don't talk about him. I believe, though, Steve Young had the record for QB rating in a season before all the rule changes, and now everyone does it. But I believe he had the record in the 90s of all time for a season at like 112 or something.
Was that the Super Bowl season?
Maybe. I mean, he has a bunch of legit seasons of like over 100. He was a fucking
Steve Young
badass.
was good. I liked Steve Young.
If he actually played 15, 20 years like everybody else, he would have set records. But he just didn't get the time. But yeah. Now, since all the rule changes, it's always new people have littered the top 15. But
Yeah. No, I felt strongly about Mahomes. I'm bummed about that. I got 2 of the 3, and Mahomes is the one I missed.
Mahomes' highest season was 113. Guess who's number 5 all time behind Nick Foles? Ryan Tannehill.
What the fuck?
And then it goes Brady, Matt Ryan, 2 Drew Brees seasons, another Peyton Manning, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson's MVP year, a Tony Romo year, Steve Young year, Montana, then a Deshaun Watson year, and then that's all.
When you think like Nick Foles be on the list and Tannehill be on the list, we're looking at a stat that measures your efficiency, not necessarily how great you were. Like he said, Nick Foles' season is only 27 touchdowns, but he had the 3 interceptions.
Right.
So it was like,
Well, QB rating's weird because now they have QBR, which is a
Yes.
totally different thing.
yes,
Yeah.
And QBR takes into much more an account than QB rating. Like I was looking at Deshaun Watson's stats there when we were looking at him, and like his QB rating is super high all of his years, but one of those years his QBR is only like 62, which 62 is good, but it's not like elite level shit.
Mhm.
Like so it's kind of goofy, but anyway, but it's a stat that's been used for a really long time, QB rating. So.
Yeah, football is just like the other 2 sports. We've talked about some of the stuff. Like, they're trying to find a stat that encompasses everything, and it just doesn't work.
Well, that's
Yeah.
QBR now. That's what
Yeah.
QBR is supposed to be. But
Right.
QB rating's been used for a long time.
Yeah, it's just like, all these defensive metrics keep trying to tell us that Rudy Gobert is the greatest defensive player of all time, and I'm like, guys,
No.
come on, what are we doing
Well,
here?
if you look at advanced stats in basketball, Jokic is like the greatest player ever. Jokic, his advanced stats blow everyone out of the water and everything. But if you actually sit there and watch a basketball game, he's not a better defender than Joel Embiid. But there are certain advanced stats that will tell you he is. But
and
it's
his
just not.
his defensive analytics this year had him as like the second best defender in basketball.
And that just, yeah, we can talk about that stuff later. But
All right, who would like to go next? And we've given out 0 points, by the way.
You or me, Ray?
I'll go ahead and do mine. Adrian Peterson has the most career rush yards among active players, but who ranks second?
By the way, did y'all see that he's getting ready to fight Le'Veon Bell in a boxing match?
Oh,
I
yeah, that's who
did.
it was? Okay, yeah, I seen
Yeah.
that shit.
Crap. Who? When did? I think it's someone off the top of my head. But I can't remember if when Ray's website came out is what I'm trying to think in my head. How to answer this question.
Yeah, me too.
I'm writing it down. I don't care.
I don't know. There's a couple guys I don't know if they've technically retired yet.
Yeah, that's. And when Ray got this, nothing against you, Ray, but sometimes it, depending on when it comes out, it.
Yeah, I mean, if this trivia was written 5 years ago, that'd play a much huge role in this.
Well, let me just put it this way. This trivia question was this morning on Get Up. So
okay.
Oh,
All right. Well, that does.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I need to start watching Get Up before we come to the podcast.
Well, I mean, I guess we could just ask you this question, Ray. You know the NFL. Is this guy really still playing?
yeah.
Okay, then.
Well, I mean,
So-
it says active players.
Right, I know, but like I said, if it was an older question, it wouldn't necessarily be
Oh, well,
true anymore. You know
right,
what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roger.
Just trying to think of older running backs.
Yeah, who's hung around too long?
a lot of guys.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess we can't take all day, so I'm gonna write a name down, even though I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm writing mine down. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, I got one. I don't think it's right, but
Does everyone got one?
I wrote one down.
I said Frank Gore.
I said Frank Gore.
I said Derrick Henry.
I said Henry.
Correct answer is Mark Ingram with 7,878 yards.
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah. Someone who's hanging around too
I
long.
thought Gore just retired.
Yeah, I thought
that's
he
what-
did
yeah,
too.
he did.
See,
He did.
who I
He,
almost wrote down.
he signed a one-day contract with the 49ers the other day and retired.
Who I almost wrote down was LaShawn McCoy because he's been lingering around the league without officially retiring for a while, but I couldn't remember if he actually officially did it in the past year.
I don't know if he did this offseason, but he played a couple games for the Bucks this last year.
Well, he won 2 Super Bowls without playing a single snap in either
Chiefs and
game.
Bucks.
Yeah, back-to-back years. He played for the Chiefs and then played for the
And
Bucks
he has
the next year.
he's like borderline Hall of Fame status. He's got like over like 11,000 rushing yards. So
Yeah,
it's
he's the Eagles' all-time leading rusher.
like he's in that weird, just he's like right below being a Hall of Famer. He's like a nudge below it.
All right, so Uncle Doug.
All right, yeah, here we go. All right. In 1921,
Oh boy.
the Packers joined the APFL, which is the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Who did they beat for their first victory? And by the way, it was in their first game. Now, they had some exhibition games. This is the first regular season game.
Who they beat the first
Because I looked this up, and I got this answer, and then another site said somebody else. And so I dug a little deeper, and the other site was listing exhibition games. This is their first official APFL, NFL, what do you want to call it, game, and they won.
So can I ask a question?
Yep.
Does this team still exist?
No.
Right.
The final score of the game was 7-6.
Oh.
We're racing quickly.
At 19.
One of the teams that they beat in the exhibition was the Chicago Boosters.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So this is just a
disappeared.
random city and a random name mascot we want to come up with is what I'm hearing.
Let's say the Chicago team at this time was the Cardinals.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just writing a team.
The Bears
name
were
down.
Staley.
All right, wrote something down.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
not going to be right, but
I wrote something down.
Yeah, whatever.
All right,
So
what you
I
guys got?
how about the Pirates?
I put the Indians.
Because I knew they used to be
Oh, shoot. 1 second.
Pittsburgh's name.
Wrong one.
How are you erasing an answer right now? We're already all set. We already said ours. What are you doing?
You were locked in.
It was not.
Oh, let's hear it.
Just say it out
Just
loud.
say
I
it.
said the Dallas Texans, but that was.
No, that's all right.
And I just put Iowa.
Okay. It was the Minneapolis Marines,
Oh, okay.
who became the Minneapolis Red something, and then after they lost every game, they folded.
That's so sad.
Yeah, they were like out.
Dusted. We're racking up the points, guys.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Hey, as long
Like-
as no one else scores, Uncle Doug, our lead is safe.
It's all right.
like Uncle Doug, my question is old as shit.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my
Here we go.
God.
At least I kept mine kind of modern.
What were the Green Bay Packers originally called in their original year, 1919?
So like, were they still Green Bay? Is just what their mascot was? Is that where we're at? I don't.
No, I'm not looking for a city.
Okay.
All right, I wrote something down.
I might know this. There we go. I got an answer.
This actually gives a lot of information that I don't know the answer to this, so I'll see if you guys knew any of this because I sure didn't.
All right. I got a name.
Yep.
Okay, everybody got one guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put the Miners.
The Miners. Indians.
The Blue Men.
And I thought it might be a trick question, so I said Packers.
Well, both Ray and Drew have part of it. You combine your two names the way they are right now, just like this, and that was their name.
The what?
The Indian Packers.
What the
Wow.
What the?
In August 11th, 1919, Earl Curly Lambeau, the Green Bay and founded the Green Bay Packers, originally known as the Indian Packers. The team was named after the sponsor of the team, the Indian Packing Company. They later joined the NFL, and Lambeau's employer was bought out by the Acme Packing Company, and they became the Packers. I did not know they were named after a packing company.
I thought that was right. One of the other things I read that I thought was interesting, Curly Lambeau got $500 to start the team. to buy all the equipment and, yeah.
Wow. What an investment.
Well, I wonder how much. I mean, I guess nobody owns them now. So, like, did he get bought? Like, did they get bought out at some point?
I guess. His employer gave him $500 to start the team.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically, I guess he wasn't the owner. He was the founder, something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'll give us an update on the scores, even though not a single person got a question right tonight.
Wow.
After this week's lack of tallies, the scores are as follows. Wade and Uncle Doug tied for first place with 7 points apiece.
Yeah.
That's right.
Drew in third place with 3 points.
That's right.
And Alex and Ray tied for last with 2 points.
And another week of Ray writing some funny shit on the description.
So, yeah. Trivia sucks. And, yeah.
Yeah, we still got a long ways to go. That'll be all right.
It is true. So, we appreciate you tuning in this week for our Green Bay Packers episode. And since we are still juggling guests, I'm not going to tell you which team is next week because we're not sure. And thanks for tuning in to Sports the NEMO Way.